Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever part of the world you're joining today from. Another exciting meeting at Sattvic Toastmasters. At Sattvic Toastmasters, it's all about your health, your health, and same time learning public speaking skills to voice out. Unless you voice out your opinions, your ideas, or rather talk about things that is going in your mind, you can never gain the actual health. I heard about the story of a lady in Sattvic movement course. That lady was not able to heal herself irrespective of being in one of the best institutes in United States. She was getting a good food and everything, but until the day she finally gave in and started sharing her thoughts, sharing her pain, sharing her life story. She didn't start healing. And once she did that, well, guess what? Everything that she went through was healed in just few weeks. The opinion matters. And where else can you find your voice? Toastmasters. Well, today we have a wonderful theme talking about your mental health. You and your mental health, right? It matters a lot. We have a keynote speech by Dr. Mary Thomas, who has helped numerous families across Philippines and Malaysia in rebonding or just getting across the bridge to break upon those that are binding them into obnoxious relationships or obnoxious things that are just keeping them back in their life. We also have a wonderful speech by our upcoming Toastmasters. Well, why wait? I acknowledge all the guests and visiting Toastmasters today. And while you sit there and in comfort and enjoy this meeting, let me start by inviting our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Mary Thomas. But before that, let me introduce the role players and the structure of the Toastmaster meeting. Any Toastmaster meeting has three sections: prepared speech, table topics, and also evaluation. While in every walk of your life, people judge you, do this, do that, you are not doing things properly and everything, etc. It is in Toastmaster that where you're given constructive feedback. We'll see that in our third section. First section is where people come prepared on projects that are based upon our study material in Toastmasters called Pathways program. And then in second section, it is impromptu speech. While every walk of life, you cannot go prepared. In Toastmasters, you can go prepared by practicing in table topics. Let me introduce the role players who will help us in these three different sections. First will be our timer, Arav Saxena. Arav Saxena, can you please introduce your role quickly and help us how your timing will help us to be on time?
Okay, good morning and good evening, all. My role for today's timer, I'll be keeping track of the length of your speeches, and let me tell you, for the prepared speeches, time is 5 to 7 minutes. I'll be showing green cards. Let me give you thing. Okay, you'll be seeing it soon. I'll be showing you green card for 5 to 7 minutes, or for 5 minutes. At 6 minutes, I will be showing you yellow card. For 7 minutes, I'll be showing you red card. Okay, same for table topics. I'll be showing green card at 1 minute, yellow card at 1 minute 30 seconds, and red card at 2 minutes. Grace period of 30 seconds will be given after every speech to conclude and wrap up. That's all. Thank you. I'll be presenting my report at the end.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Timer.
Arav,
I'm
for being
sorry, Toastmaster of the day. May I know the timing sequence for my speech?
sure. And your time sequence will be 15:20, right?
with a little bit of Q&A.
Sure.
Thank you.
The timing for Mary will be 15 to 20. So 15 and then 17 will do, Mary? 17, 20? Okay, 15, 17, 20 for Mary when she gives her keynote speech. Let me invite our counter for today. Our counter is more like helping you how to smoothen your speeches without those crutch words. Vrinda, can you please help us? How will you help in your role in our counter?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Toastmaster Raghu. My name is Vrinda, and I'm the R counter for the day. As the R counter, I will note words and sounds that are used as crutches or filters by the speakers. And during this meeting, I will listen to these filler words such as and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler word sounds such as and I will note when a speaker repeats a phrase such as I, or this means, and some of the long or short pauses. And I will be presenting my report at the end. Thank you, Toastmaster Raghu, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Vrinda. In short, it's all about those meaningless words that we use as a support to start our meetings or in between, in our speeches, sorry, not meetings, in our speeches or rather talks, and how we can eliminate that. This R counter report is going to help you on that. Last but not least is how we can clean our grammar in our speeches, our talks. And today we have Arita, who is joining from Kenya, and her timing there is 4:30 a.m. Can you believe that? That's the passion that people have in Toastmasters. Toastmaster Arita, can you please introduce the word of the day and introduce your role as a grammarian for today?
Thank you so much, DTM Raghu, for this opportunity to be the grammarian at this meeting. And I will start with a quote. Nothing in life is more important than the ability to communicate effectively. And this is a quote by Gerald R. Ford, who was a former United States president. As the grammarian this morning or evening, depending on where we are, or afternoon, my responsibility is to pay close attention to all speakers. I will be listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As a grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today, the word of the day is, and I'll be sharing my screen. And this is where technology decides to fail. If you can just hang on 1 second, I don't know why the word just disappeared on me. The word of the day today is, yes,
I'll share my
Thank
screen.
you so much. Thank you so much. The word of the day is exuberance. Exuberance means full of excitement, cheerfulness, or the quality or state of having abundance or intense activity. An example in a sentence is, we are looking forward to having an exuberant Toastmasters meeting this morning. And yes, we have to show that exuberance in our faces. And the next sentence is, our health is our wealth. Let us exercise exuberantly to enjoy this wealth. I'm looking forward to sharing my report when called upon by the Toastmaster of the day. Over to you, DTM Raghu.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Arita. What a wonderful word of the day, exuberant. We'll ensure that the meeting is exuberant enough for people to relish it after the meeting. And then, as Arita has done, keep doing this as whenever you see anyone using the word of the day to encourage them. Now it's time to see how you and your mental health can make a difference. And let me invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Mary Thomas, who is joining from Malaysia today. She has been one of the wonderful Toastmaster, I would say, almost 3 decades in Toastmaster now, and also a doctor by practicing. And as I told before, she has helped numerous families across both the countries, Malaysia and Philippines. Dr. Mary Thomas, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Raghu. As a brief introduction of who I am, I'm actually in the Philippines. I'm coming to you from the Philippines. I am practicing here. I'm actually from Malaysia, and I have been involved in mental health for almost 4 decades. Mental health has always been important for me due to family circumstances. Let me now share screen. All right. The topic for today is, of course, mental health in you. I will focus on the issue of mental health in a very brief, simple, and understandable manner, because mental health is a whole broad spectrum of health. If you ask me, mental health and the conditions that people are having is a bigger pandemic than COVID. I say this without reservation because I see my patients every single day having some form of mental disorder. Now, let me just get into it straight away. The first thing I would like to define is mental health. Secondly, I would like to go into the classifications of mental conditions. Mental health, in very simple English, it is the health or the lack of it of the mind and the brain. Mental health is very closely connected to emotional health. So if your emotions are playing up, you can be pretty sure that there would be some form of mental disorder playing in the background. That's a very simple explanation of mental health. The classifications of mental health and mental conditions, there are 2, neurosis and psychosis. Today, I would only be touching on neurosis because that is where my expertise is as a physician. Psychosis will be left to a psychiatrist because really I don't handle any of that. I refer my patients to psychiatrists. What are neurotic? Or let's take a look at what are neurotic conditions. I've displayed it here, which I would explain later on in more detail. Psychosis would be when a person has delusions, hallucinations, schizophrenia, mania, manic depression, bipolar, borderline personality disorders, paranoia. These are organic diseases of the brain or the mind. It has to be clinically diagnosed as an organic disease. It is not a disorder per se. Now, when I talk about neurosis, most of us are neurotic in some way or another. But as long as we are functioning, we are able to sustain relationships, we are able to go to work, we are able to wake up in the morning and get on with our lives, albeit with some grumbling and mumbling and irritation and anger and all of that, it is still under neurosis. When you talk about psychosis, these are the patients, these are the people who live in another reality. They are not living in this reality. In very simple English, they live in another world. They hear things, they see things, even sometimes that's something that's not there, they see it. I had a patient who would look at a lizard and think it's a dinosaur. So this is a very difficult scenario. Another one would be, I just remembered another patient of mine who would look at a person, a woman particularly, and see a different personality, he doesn't see a woman. He sees her as something else without getting into details. Now, all of these are organic conditions of the brain and the mind. I would not go into this because this is the area and the arena and part of psychiatry, and this needs a psychiatrist to explain. Let me move to the next one. This is the one that most people in the world are actually going through right now. Anxiety disorders. This is the one that I'm going to focus on today, so I will not explain more. Clinical depression. That is where we actually clinically diagnose a patient with depression by using diagnostics and providing for appropriate treatment. Post-traumatic stress disorder happens when someone has gone through a very traumatic situation. A very good example would be soldiers in the army. Those who have gone into war, they always come back with post-traumatic stress disorder. Women who have been raped, traumatically assaulted in a murder case, but they did not die. These are PTSD cases. Obsessive compulsive disorders, that is becoming quite common these days, where there is an obsession. And due to that obsession, the person behaves in a compulsive manner. When we say obsession, let me give you some examples. A very common one is the door locked? They would keep checking the door to make sure the door is locked, whether they are inside the house or they are outside the house. I know of people who have come back after traveling for a couple of hours and they forgot or they think that they have not locked the door. What happens? They come back. And it's a compulsion. They can't control it. They cannot just say, oh, come on, I've already locked the door. No, they can't. It's so compulsive, they cannot control it. Another usual one for obsessive compulsion is switching off the lights, tidying up the table. No one should mess up the arrangement or that they have put in. Sometimes it is useful to have OCD. That's a short for obsessive compulsive disorder. It's useful because you have a very tidy, neat, everything in its place home. So it's sometimes okay. But when it becomes difficult for the people who are living with this person, then we start looking at treatment, diagnosis and treatment. It really becomes very difficult. I had another patient who was a very young boy. He was 17 at the age, and he was 17 and he would use up a whole bottle of bathing soap, cleaning up his body because he thinks his body is dirty. Can you just imagine? And he has got peeling skin because of his constant use of shower gels, showering like 6 times a day because he keeps thinking he's dirty. Now, these kind of things will go to a psychiatrist, all right? And when we always look back, when it comes to all of these neuroses, we always look back to see what triggered this whole situation. Now, in this case of this boy, what happened was when he was 8 years old, his parents separated. So he was perfectly fine. At 8, he was fine. At 9, he was fine. 10. At around 12, he began to manifest OCD symptoms. And then I caught him at 17. We managed to help him through Ayurveda. You'll be surprised. No, his father is a doctor. He couldn't handle him. And I said, let's just do alternative because we can't just keep pumping him with psychiatric drugs. And we eventually healed him with Ayurveda. I'll come to that later on. Addictions, gambling, sex addictions, pornography, you name it, and gaming, anything that you do repeatedly without which your life is like not. You don't have a life if you don't have your addictions. Alcoholism, workaholism. Workaholism is sort of now classified as an addiction. You're addicted to work. Addictions are always escapism. We always trace the patient back to something that he or she is trying to escape from. Then what's the next one? Hoarding disorder. Oh, that's a very, very difficult condition. Hoarding disorder. One day I will do a series of talks on this, each of this. Hoarding disorder is again becoming very common. One of the reasons that triggers a hoarding disorder is when a person just keeps stuff, papers, old plastics, you name it. My patient in Kerala, I have a patient in Kerala. She was hoarding plastic containers very specifically. And fortunately, she's okay now. I had to put her through a psychiatrist in Kerala, in Kottayam. And she would go buying saris. Like she would, when new saris come in, the store would call her and say, ma'am, we have a new stock of saris from Benares or wherever, somewhere in the north of India. She would be the first customer. And she's fortunate. She has the money to sustain this hoarding disorder. Her cupboards were filled with saris that she never used. And her cupboards in the kitchen were filled with plastic containers also that she never used. But fortunately, we managed to turn around this patient. I'm very happy about that. Her daughter is a doctor. She has now gone over to the UK, leaving her mother behind. Oh, I'm sorry. Postpartum depression. That's another big thing that, to me, in my opinion, every obstetrician should look into postpartum depression in women up to the age the child is 7. Those days they used to say it's just a year or 2, but now we see postpartum depression even in women after delivery 7 years. So this is a very important point. I always argue with obstetricians on this one. Just give it to them. Don't even think about it, because having a child now is actually a very stressful affair. You know, I don't even want to get into that one. Phobias, panic disorders, like panic attacks. And you feel that the whole world is crumbling onto you when, you know, particularly sometimes when you have a phobia of elevators. I had a patient who had a phobia. Whenever she gets into an elevator, she thinks the elevator is going to crush over her. So these are the things, all right? But having said all of this, the individual who is able to function within societal norms and is in touch with reality, this patient would not be considered a psychotic patient. The moment it goes into another psychotic episode, some of them, I had a patient in Malaysia who went into a psychotic episode. She thought her husband was going to kill her. What happens? So she would make sure she wears a blouse or a pair of pants or jeans that has a pocket. Guess what's in her pocket? A little penknife. You know why? Because she kept thinking her husband was going to kill her. So every time that knife is in her pocket as a standby. Now, people like that, we would have to put them under psychiatric care because she's a threat to her husband. Fortunately, they're divorced now and she's almost back to normal. Now, so these are the very varying types of neurosis, psychosis. Borderline personality disorder at one time was under neurosis. Now, that can be difficult because it's very difficult to live with someone with a personality disorder, particularly narcissism, which is again gaining a lot of popularity. I use the word popularity, but a lot of people are now coming forward, the victims, so to speak, are coming forward saying that they were living with narcissistic partners or narcissistic parents, siblings. They literally bring you down to the ground. I'm not kidding about this. They literally bring you down to the ground. It's literally impossible to live with a narcissistic personality disorder, and NPDs will never seek treatment. That's also another thing. We are having a hard time bringing people forward to come for treatment. Not only that, for compliance. They don't comply. When I was training in the UK, I was in Birmingham, and I had to follow because I was under training. I saw the psychiatric nurse literally put the tablet into the mouth of the patient in his home. See, social service goes to the home to manage the medication. And she waited until the patient swallowed. And I said, why did you do that? And how do you know he's actually swallowed? The nurse told me, because I know when I leave and go out of that door, he's going to spit it out. So I was like, whoa, okay. And this was like 25 years ago, you know, and I believe that things have improved now where people have a better awareness and understanding of mental health conditions. I'm sorry. All right, so let's move to the next part of it. I really want you guys to work on this one. I am talking or going to focus on anxiety disorders, generalized anxiety disorder, because that is the most common form of neurosis. I would like you guys to, every one of you to, I'll give you 3 minutes to go through this and fill it up. Let's give you an example. Let me give you an example. Numbness or tingling. If you have it, none, you don't have any numbness or tingling in any part of the body, particularly the limbs, then just take none at all. And that's a 0 score. Now, mild, but it doesn't bother me much. Once in a while, it just comes and then you're able to pass it on. That'll be 1 point. Moderately, it wasn't pleasant at times. Okay, moderately would be it happens about, say, once a week, sometimes twice a week for a short period of time. That'll be moderate. Severe would be something that happens almost 3 to 4 times a week, and it bothers you, it disturbs you because this thing is happening. I would like you to, the timer, could you please give us 3 minutes to fill this up, and we'll do a scoring, and we'll know. You don't have to tell us your answer, please. Don't worry about that. And we will see where you are. It's very important. This is a very, very common condition, and particularly after the lockdowns. People have gone berserk after the lockdowns. Timer, could you start the timing? 3 minutes.
Hello, Mary Thomas.
Yes.
Do you want us to fill this one?
Yes.
But,
Phil, as in just write down your score. Yes, I would like you to. I want to see, so that you get an idea of whether you are having any form of anxiety.
I'm sorry to
How
ask you,
to
can you
fill
repeat
this
points?
I don't, on your paper or on in your phone, you can just, for number 1, you can put not at all, mildly, moderately, or severely. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The scoring is not at all is 0. Mildly is 1, moderately 2, severely 3. And we will total up the score. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did you guys get how to do this? Any other questions? I want to make sure you do this. You don't have to tell us the answer. Anyone else having an issue here? Because I'm going to explain this. All good? Let me see the chat. Try and get a link on this one. Okay, time's up. Could you please total up your score? You see, there is, could you guys see the one after face is flushed? It should say hot or cold sweats. Are you able to see that? I thought I put it up there. Yeah, you can see that, right? Hot or cold sweats, that's the last one. There are 21 areas to check on anxiety.
Yeah, now we can see it.
Oh, man. Okay, I'll give you another minute.
We could see it earlier too. When you
okay.
were last time you got it back.
Okay.
I took a screenshot of that.
I'll send you the link for this questionnaire. This is a very basic test. Okay, I think we're good. Shall I continue, everyone? Is it okay? Okay, thank you. So let me just tell you how important this test is. When you look at the first one, numbness or tingling, this is actually a physical manifestation of your anxiety. Now, how do we settle this one? vitamin B complex. Now, the things that I'm going to tell you are going to be very simple. It's going to be easy to do so that I have compliance, so that we have compliance. The greatest difficulty that we have in psychiatric practice is non-compliance. Patients do not comply. When I say compliance, patients do not comply to the medication that we give them. Patients do not comply with their appointments. They do not follow. And guess what? The situation just gets worse. It doesn't get better. All right, so numbness and tingling, I'm going to tell you how the solution is that vitamin B complex. I am a big fan of Cerbex. I think you do get Cerbex in India. Cerbex is available in Malaysia. It is the #1 B complex in Malaysia, taken by most number of people for stress and anxiety. All right, next one. Feeling hot is again a physical manifestation. I won't go into that. Wobbliness in the legs, exercise more. Unable to relax. Okay, how do you relax? Meditate, please. Please spend at least 5 minutes in the morning trying to relax and meditate. And the other one would be journaling. Another one would be listening to soft music, listening to jazz. Jazz is just so good for relaxing. It depends, whatever. Choose your music. Fear of the worst happening. Now, this is so common after COVID. Everyone thinks that they're going to die. I'm not joking when I tell you this. People think that they're going to die. And that is how the COVID vaccines got the best place in handling the situation. Now, this one needs a therapist. It needs therapy. It needs someone you can talk to, and that will be a clinical psychologist. You don't really need a psychiatrist unless the clinical psychologist tells you you need to be referred to a psychiatrist. Many a time, patients are afraid to see a psychiatrist. Let's be real about this. Many a time, no one wants to see a psychiatrist. But let me tell you, the easy way out of that is speak to your GP, speak to your general physician, speak to your own doctor, tell him the truth, tell him what's happening in your life. Do that, and he will do the needful for you. You don't have to be afraid. Another option, go to a clinical psychologist. A clinical psychologist is the person who is certified and trained, licensed to do correct diagnostics for your condition. You may not even have what you're thinking, but it's always good to run a check. Personally, every 3 years, I run a psychometric test on myself and my children. We need to do that because we're under such intense stress in the hospital. So the 3 of us, we always go for psychiatric evaluation and we all come back good. And if there's any problem, we nip it in the bud straight away. All right. There was a time my daughter had an issue because she's an EMED, she's an emergency medicine. She was just going crazy. And then I managed to sort that one out and she's now a clinical fellow. All right, come next one. Dizzy, lightheaded, you really have to look into it. Dizzy or lightheaded, for women, please check, do a CBC, a complete blood count to see whether you are anemic. Remember, when it comes to anxiety, it's not that you are having a mind issue. It could be a physical issue. And I'm big on hormones. Women, hormones are your pillars. You need hormones. So this is the one. If you feel dizzy or lightheaded, just do a CBC and make sure that your hemoglobin count is normal. If it is not, then you know why you're anxious. Heart pounding and racing, if anyone has that, especially gentlemen, please do an ECG, or even better, do a 2D or 3D echo. You need to find out why your heart is pounding. Unsteady, terrified, or afraid, see a psychologist or therapist. Nervous, I'll go back to vitamin D. Yes, I'm sorry. Anybody asking questions? Feeling of choking, again, you need a therapist. Hands are trembling, vitamin B complex. Shaky, unsteady, exercise. Fear of losing control. That one, again, you need a therapist. Difficulty in breathing, you really need to see a cardiologist, or just go and see your doctor and talk about this. Fear of dying, you need a therapist. Scared, you need a therapist. Indigestion, this one can be sorted out. A lot of people have GERD now, reflux. So that can be sorted out by a gastroenterologist. Faint and lightheaded, again, back to your anemia in case you're anemic. Face is flushed. That is your sympathetic system working. So you need to work on that one. Hot or cold sweats, you also need a therapist. I'm running through this very quickly, but in the future, I am going to give you individual series of talks on this. It is so important. You don't know. I mean, it's an understatement to say that mental health is just that. No, it's something so pandemic. It's a pandemic, actually. All right. So that ends my thing. I can see my red thing over there. I would like to take a few questions because this is so important. Can I just field a couple of questions, please? I have to run through this. I only have 20 minutes, but
So
I'm willing to
thank you,
take.
Mary. I have a question.
Yes, please.
I learned something. Hoarding is some sort of a disorder. What about minimalism?
Minimalism?
Yes, please.
Your question will be, is it a disorder?
Yes.
Okay. Minimalism is a way of life. All right. 1 second, let me adjust. Minimalism is a way of life. I would not call it a disorder unless it is causing disruption in the family. All right. Now, most of us are married. We have a partner, we have children. Now, if you try to impose a minimalistic lifestyle on your partner or your children, I think they're going to lose out a lot in life. Now, when that happens, I would put that as a form of, it depends on how it's manifested. It depends on how the patient is coming up with, is she telling everybody now, no more spending money? For example, that's when minimalism starts, you see, no more spending money. Then she needs a therapist or a financial advisor who can actually put the finances in order and take away her fear that, there's not going to be enough money. So we always go to the root of the problem. I mean, when I work with my patients, I always go to the root of the problem. You can always contact me, Mira. I can help you out. Yeah. Yes, Sashidhar, I can see your hand up. Yeah, quickly, tell me.
I mean, feeling very hot. I mean, my body temperature is very hot. Recently, I met with a oil massage guy. I mean, to do the oil massage, he said that my body was unusually hot, and yeah, I feel sleepless during night because of that feeling of hotness. And I want to know what can be done to help it. Yeah.
Good question. Now you feel hot. Do you sweat?
Yeah, profusely. I sweat a lot.
Check your thyroids, please. Have you done a thyroid test?
Yeah, thyroid test is normal.
Where did you do? You're in India, aren't you? You're in India?
Yeah, yes.
Where did you do your thyroid test?
2 different places I have done. I mean, one is Apollo Diagnostics and another one is Lucid Diagnostics.
Okay, go to ThyroCare. They are the best in diagnosing thyroid conditions. This is the problem with thyroid. A lot of people are subclinical. When I say subclinical, that means they don't really manifest any symptoms in a big way, and their test results are perfectly fine. Now, this is the problem with thyroid lab tests. They've not reached a stage where they have the reagents or the chemicals or whatever to pick up the readings where it is subclinical. It has not reached a stage where, but yet the patient, like you said, you're sweating or you're feeling hot all the time. Now, did you also do a liver function test?
Yeah, liver function test is also fine.
Okay. Now tell me, then I'm going to go into you see, I do treatment with my patients in mind, body, and soul because I believe that all three are connected. Are you angry with somebody? You don't have to answer me. No, you don't have to answer me. You don't have to answer me. You see, there's thermoregulation. When you say your body is hot, there's thermoregulation that has gone a little bit out. Have you measured the temperature when you say your body is hot? It will be usually at 37.2.
Actually, my mother and me both have this same problem. She is having thyroid, I know, and from my childhood, I am having this problem. My body is unusually hot, and I feel I need to touch always cool surfaces to get feeling cold. So this hotness during night times, this causes me insomnia. I cannot sleep properly because of this hotness.
Absolutely, I can understand. You need a very good hormone profiling. Because I don't think they're picking up your mom is hypo or hyper?
I think hypo.
Hypo.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
You can see from her body structure. Is she on the big size, a little bit overweight and
overweight? She's
overweight. So that's hypo. That's hypo. All right. Again, could you please communicate with me on a direct message? I'll help you out. Not to worry. But I still okay. We talk about it. All right. Next one. Jay, thank you, Sashi, for your question. Yeah.
Thank you,
Jay,
Dr.
can I have
Mary.
your question? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mary, for a wonderful description of all basic mental disorder, and particularly interesting neurosis, where there is no much difference between the normal behavior and at certain time point it becomes abnormal. So my question is regarding addiction. Mainly, we see that nowadays there are many digital devices, and most of us are most of the time are engaged on the digital device. So, at what certain limit it can be considered disorder, specifically for children? It is becoming problem, and nowadays teenagers are also full time stuck, and I think many of the mental health issues are happening. So, what would be your suggestion for children and teens on this digital devices, and how we define it is at particular time point it is becoming addiction or disease?
Okay, got it. Now, an addiction is a clinical diagnosis. It has to be diagnosed from diagnostic tests where we would determine through psychometric questions as to whether this person, by adding up the numbers, and this is all done by a clinical psychologist. The other way that we can know it's an addiction is that when a person is removed from that situation, he has withdrawal symptoms. That is our first key. For example, let's say you have we have a child who is addicted to gaming. Now, when you remove that gaming, remove the laptop or whatever gadget he's using, he refuses to eat. He refuses to sleep. He doesn't want to talk to you. He threatens you. You can see the reaction of this child when that particular stimulus is taken away from the child. You can see it immediately. If there are withdrawal symptoms, that's the first sign it's an addiction. Now, when it is not an addiction, for us, you see, for example, if I don't have a phone for a day, I'm fine. I got no problem. So, but if I am like clinging on to my phone all the time, then it's a form of escapism. Again, we need to talk to the patient to understand what's actually going on. But the first key for addiction is withdrawal symptoms. Okay. Again, we can chat, Jay.
Yeah,
no
thanks.
problem. All right. Sashidhar, your hand is up. Shahid. Shahid,
Yeah.
could I have your question, please?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Mary.
Yeah.
These questions have to be taken offline or in coming series. In the interest of time, we need to move.
Okay. So Shahid and Runda, I would handle your questions in our next session. Or you can just private message me. No problem.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Mary. Such a wonderful talk and also clarifying some of the doubts. I know you couldn't cover all of them in the interest of time, but maybe next time we will run a series just like our intermittent fasting that we had. Now it's time to talk about prepared speakers, and they prepare for manuals and they have certain objectives for that. Today we have Miral, who is going to give a speech, and his speech evaluator is Dr. Jay Saiswal. Dr. Jay, can you give the speech objectives for Miral before we start?
Sure. So Miral's speech is project 4, level 1. It is for evaluation and feedback. First speech out of evaluation and feedback. And purpose of this speech is for member to present a speech and receive a feedback from the evaluator. So this can be on any topic, well-organized speech, and he has got 5 to 7 minutes to deliver his speech, and his speech topic is how reading enhances communication skill. Toastmaster Miral, how reading enhances the communication skill.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, my fellow Sattvic Toastmasters. Welcome. I'm Miral Patel. I graduated in 1999. Who remembers those days? We didn't have social media. We didn't have mobile phone. It was obvious I lost touch of my fellow classmates. But all of a sudden, one of my classmates, not a close friend, just called me after about 20 years. He found my number through some common friends. He introduced himself, but I was still trying to picture him in my mind. I was trying hard to connect his name with his picture. So I started pinging him with questions like, what was his height and color of his skin, etc., etc. All sorts of questions went into interrogation. And finally, here it is. Voila, I have his picture in my mind. We were catching up on some old times, and the conversations was getting lighter and candid. Then, for whatever reason, I asked him, what was his first impression about me, or what did he think about me during the college years? And his unfiltered reply was, the way I carried myself and the way I communicated, everybody thought that I had never read a book in my life. And I'm like, this fun incident made me realize that I need to do something. And that leads me to join Toastmasters. So since joining Speechcraft program, I'm constantly thinking about how to improve my communication skills. I did some extensive research on my own, and I'm here to discuss my findings. A lot of people have trouble communicating. I don't know if that is you. Let's look at it on how to enhance your communication skills through speed reading. They say when you teach someone, your own learnings gets reinforced and strong. So before you start anything, you should always know where your starting point is. So after this session ends, whenever you get free time, I want every one of you to find your average reading speed. That is your words per minute. So pick up a book, pick up a page and start reading, clock it, and see how many lines or words can you read in a minute. Now that's now your starting point. Your competition is with your own. So don't worry about what average speed other readers are at. Now I'll tell you how reading is correlated to your communication skills. But first, let's understand few of the challenges every people faces while reading. I want you guys to do second step. So now you know your first, your words per minute. Just write it down on a piece of paper so it becomes handy in future for your reference. Now, on a lazy day, just pick up a book and read a couple of pages, whatever your interest book is. After you finish a couple of pages, stop and reflect what you read, or reflect and understand your reading obstacles. The first obstacle you might realize will be a lack of education. Now, reading is a skill we are not born with. It's something we learn at age 6 or 7, and it's the skill that we can improve at any age. You just need a reason to read. It's fair to say that most of us still read the same way we were as child. Absolutely. Second thing will be lack of focus. You will realize after the second session that you took, reading a couple of pages, if your focus is lacking, the thing will be you will be easily distracted while reading. Now there is a myth that faster you read, less comprehensions you will get. Here is why that's not true. Study shows faster readers has actually better comprehension. Why? Because they have better focus. Now here is the thing. We are talking about lack of focus. We have superhuman computer between our ears in the entire universe. When we read, we feed this supercomputer one word at a time. Metamorphically, we are starving our mind. If you don't give the stimulation it needs, it will seek entertainment elsewhere in the form of distraction, in the form of mind wandering. So when you read fast, you're more focused. The third thing you will realize is regression. That is back skipping. Do you sometimes find yourself rereading the same sentence or a paragraph? This unconscious habit of slowing down your speed. Now, here is the thing. Average reader goes word to word. If there are 10 words per line, that's 10 stops. That slows down the process and it's frustrating. You will also realize there's something called sub-vocalization. Now, it's a process of having to say the words in your own mind as you are reading. The reason why it is a challenge is if you ever noticed when you're reading something, you hear your own inner voice inside your head reading along with you. It's the biggest challenge, because if you or your family member have to say the words while reading, you are limited to your talking speed and not your thinking speed. Basically, what you talk, first you process in your mind. And to improve your thinking speed, you start reading faster, and hope you get some insight into how to enhance your communication skills. I'll keep adding any new findings to this. But remember, life is like an egg. And if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. All great things begins on the inside, and you have the greatness inside of you. Thank you for your time. Back to you, Toastmaster Jay.
Thank you very much, Meeral, for such a wonderful speech. Let me remove from spotlight. In the interest of time, you have to forego our table topic section for today. But just to make it for guests to understand how it works, I'll just give a topic to someone and then they can answer it. Anybody who wants to take a table topic?
Hello?
Yeah, Pramod, what you can do is you can give 1 or 2 topics and then we can close in the interest of time, okay?
Oh.
Right.
We really don't have time for full-fledged table topic session, right?
Yeah, you can take 1 or 2 topics that you can close, just to show how the table topics works for people.
Okay. Then I'll call one experienced Toastmaster and a guest. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my dear guest and fellow and future Toastmasters. The purpose of this session is to practice and develop the skill to think on your feet and deliver a standing speech. I'll tell you the procedure in a simple words. I will invite a Toastmaster and a guest separately, and we'll give them a topic to think about it. They have 30 seconds to think about the topic, organize their thought, and come out with a clear speech. Minimum time required for a table topic session is 1 minute. Maximum you can speak up to 2 minutes, and after that you get 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. So in short, it is maximum 2.5 minutes. Can I call a guest? I'll give you a chance to see how an experienced Toastmaster delivers a table topic. I need an experienced Toastmaster from the audience. Anybody who is willing to come, please. Any known role players who are Toastmasters? Toastmaster Giri, are you there?
Master Mohini would like to take it.
Mohini, Toastmaster Mohini, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Your topic is only a healthy mind. Body can have a healthy mind. Only a healthy body can have a healthy mind.
Exactly. You hit the nail on it. The health of my body is absolutely true. from your answer.
Really, we lost her. You want to?
I think we lost her. Praveen Patel. Hello.
Shahid, Vrunda, you can ask. Shahid, Vrunda.
Shahid or Vrinda. Vrinda, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Vrinda, can you just speak on the same topic? Only a healthy body can have a healthy mind.
Sure, I can give it a try.
Okay, please go on.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and respected guests. So the topic is only a healthy body can have. Sorry, can you repeat the topic for me, Pramod?
Only a healthy body can have a healthy mind.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, so the topic is only a healthy body can have a healthy mind. Now imagine, let's flip the situation. If your body is not healthy, what would happen? You would be sick, tired, your morale will be low. You might be thinking about how to get well. You might not be happy with what you're eating, or you might be not happy with your surrounding. And then with that, how are you going to have a healthy mind? Only when you are feeling healthy, you're feeling exuberant, that you would feel like doing something good. And that's when you would want to have goals for a healthier body. And so I feel that it is the way a healthy body is only when you have a healthy body. Healthy body is only when you have a healthy mind. Or I think I twisted it.
Yeah, but both are complementary. It is true that if you want to have a healthy body, you need to have a healthy mind. And if you want to have a healthy mind, you should have a healthy body. These two things are complementary. Okay, let's move on to the next. It's a beautiful attempt. And Shahid, are you ready for a topic, Shahid?
Yes, Pramod.
Okay. Tough topic or easy topic?
Yeah, give me the tough. I will give it a try.
Okay. Okay, it's almost the same topic. A healthy outside start from a healthy inside. Just opposite to what Vrinda spoke.
Yeah. Ready, Pramod?
Yeah, please go.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning to all the members in the meeting. So today my topic is healthy outside starts from the healthy inside. So if you see a person, what you first see, we will see his physique. So we will say that how he is, whether he's fat or he's very gym person kind of thing. But whatever we see is not the what we when we speak to them. Sometimes we see the people are looking like a very like angry man, but when we spoke to them, they are very kind and very jovial kind of person. So that comes from the inside one. Whatever you have outside, it's just a sample only. So there is a one saying also, like don't judge a book by its cover. Like in the similar fashion, don't judge a person by its outlook. We just once we speak to them, if you saw them and if we have some conversation, then we will come to know whether he is healthy from inside or not. Whatever, when you sometimes some people look like very handsome and very gentleman, but from the inside they are very cunning in nature. So to be very useful to others, to be healthy inside, then only it will come outside only. So I am very exuberant in telling this. If you have a healthy inside, then automatically you will be healthy outside. So be healthy inside, and automatically you will be by default come healthy as an outside. So thank you, Pramod, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Shahid. I think my time is over. I could see the real energy, enthusiasm, and exuberance in both the speakers. Wishing you all the best and handing over the control back to the Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Raghunath. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as I keep saying, feedback is the breakfast at champions, rather dinner in or lunch in other parts of the world. Let me invite Dr. Jay Sejpal, who is the speech evaluator for today's speech by Meera. Jay, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Raghu. What an interesting opening it was, and I was engaged from the very beginning when I heard about that how reading will improve the communication. So very nice opening, and like way Toastmaster Miral started. He took us back to 90s, and we thought of that time when social media were not available, and it was very exciting if we find someone on social media who was like our ex-colleague or a friend during the school days. So it was a very nice way of opening, and it was very engaging story from the beginning. And from his speech, I don't know why his colleague felt that he was not a reader, but from his speech, I felt that he is exuberant reader. And he got a very nice suggestion on how to reading the speed. And I also remember as an avid reader, I also keep on finding such kind of thing that how to improve my reading speed. So very nice suggestion I got from his speech on like if we are bored and if we are very slow while reading, our mind will go on wandering, and we may not have totally good focus. But if we try to improve the speed, then we will be fully focused, and even grasping will be much more. So all this kind of very good suggestion I got from his speech. Only few things I would suggest for improvement. Like he started with a very interesting story, then how he was being perceived uh, by his personality, that people felt that he was not a reader. But I was waiting for the ending of that story, that how he improved himself after applying all these suggestions of making a fast reading, and after reading many books, how he improved his self. I think that part was lacking. And I was also waiting for that suggestion that how all this reading speed and improved reading would help him in a communication. So if he can close a story, that then that the speech would be even go to another next level. So overall, a very interesting opening, very engaging story, and very nice suggestions on how to improve reading. Only bit a story part, if he can change a bit and give it a proper closure, I think his speech would be at another level. Thanks a lot. That was from my side.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jay. Now it's time to see how we are doing on our meeting. Let me invite our grammarian for today, which is Toastmaster Arithur. Arithur, I know people have disappointed you on the word of the day, but still let us see how we are doing.
Thank you. This background is not working for me. Just a moment. Please confirm that you can hear me, Toastmaster Raghu.
We can't see you.
You can see me. You cannot see me. Okay. I have two gadgets. There we go. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be the grammarian this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. It's been an amazing meeting. And here goes my report. I will actually, why don't I share screen? Because I have the rights. Let me just quickly share the screen. I know time is not on our side. All right, our word of the day today is exuberant. And as you can see, 5 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us have used the word of the day. Sorry, here. So DTM Raghu, you used it once, Brunda once, Shahid once, DTM Pramod once, and Jay Sejpal also used it once. We had one speaker, Miraj Patel. Of course, we had the tip session from the mental health. That was a great one. I liked the words that Speaker Miraj used, metaphorically, metamorphically. And I'm going to type in the meaning there in a little bit. I also like that he talked about regression. I think at some point when your mind is not together, you tend to read and reread a page over and over. And I like that it's actually called regression. One memorable quote that he used is, life is like an egg. If broken due to an outside force, it dies inside. If it breaks from inside, life begins. I loved that. I also loved what Shahid said, don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, areas of improvement, I think it's just a few grammatical errors. We had somebody saying people faces while reading. It could be people face while reading because people is already plural, so we use a singular. And then the other one that I didn't manage to type was when we said this gym person kind of thing, we could say somebody who works out or somebody who goes to the gym, just to make sure that it captures everything that we're talking about. Otherwise, overall, our language use was very good. It's been a pleasure being the grammarian of the day, and I look forward to coming back when the club is chartered. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Aretha, for such a wonderful report. It's time to see how we are doing on our counter report. Let me invite Brinda for submitting our counter report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raghu. When I was counting the hours, the speaker of the day, Dr. Mary, I struggled really hard to find some hours, and it was a very practiced, and I think your experience counts. So I really didn't find any hours. So congratulations on that. Really well done. Apart from that, I was counting some of the pauses and the typical words, including me, who's been using is the hours, like, you know, and here's my report. Arav, 1 or 2 hours. Dr. Mary, none. Miral, about 4+ hours. Shahid, 2 hours, more than 2 actually. Dr. Jai, no hours that many, but like was repeated 3 to 4 times. Grammarian Aretha, about 2 to 3 hours. So that's my report, and back to you, Mr. Raghu.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Now it's time to see how we are doing on time. Arav?
So what an exuberant meeting it was indeed. So now for my part, timing. Toastmaster Dr. Mary took 32 minutes, 10 seconds, including the questionnaire. Toastmaster Miral took 7 minutes, 29 seconds, just on the borderline. Toastmaster Vrunda took 1 minute, 2 seconds. Toastmaster Shahid took 1 minute, 50 seconds. Toastmaster Dr. Jay took 2 minutes, 45 seconds. That's all my part. Thank you so much. Over to you, Raghu.
Thank you very much, everyone. If you have seen a typical Toastmaster meeting, rather like one that we have today, your prepared speech section helps you to prepare yourself for the communication that you do. Maybe the presentation that you are doing, or maybe the emails that you're writing, but rather the communication in any place that you are doing, how to go prepared for that and how you can structure what you're trying to present. Your impromptu speech is everywhere else, right? If you answer a question in your interview, or if you're answering your boss, if you're answering even your wife, when she asked you, where were you last night? What were you doing? Where were you stuck? Blah, blah, everything. Even your children pose some difficult question that you need to answer. It prepares you for all those impromptu moments in your life. And then you have seen the evaluation part. The R counter report helps you on the clarity of your language, which makes it easy for people to understand. The grammar part helps you to improve your grammar. Now, the Toastmaster is not restricted to just English. So there are so many clubs across the world which are bilingual in different languages as well. It's all about grammar, how you can make it easy for people to understand, not just using Oxford Dictionary and then you make it difficult for people to understand, but just learning at least one word in each meeting, which you can implement in your real life. For example, I may not get a chance to use the word of the day exuberant today in the meeting, or maybe I forgot to use it while I'm speaking, but maybe after a few days or in few weeks, I'll start using it in my email. That happened with me several times when I started implementing the word of the day as part of my emails or the way that I communicated and anywhere else. That you would start using it. And the timing will help you how you can time and speak within time. Once you start speaking within a certain time period, you start making your language effective, start using better words, and then you start improving all your communication. And when you respect somebody's time, people start respecting you too. That's in short about how Toastmaster meeting works. I hope this meeting was helpful in both the theme where you can improve your mental health and see how you can analyze yourself and improve your mental health. Same time, also on Toastmasters platform. With that note, I adjourn the meeting here and open to take feedback from our visiting Toastmaster and also our